Back with India Market Close right here on NDTV Profit. As 2024 is about to end, let's go back and see how the IT sector has performed. Rucha Johnson with the year-ender wrap on IT. Rucha, the last time that I saw, it is still amongst the top 4 performing indices, so not that bad.
You're right, Neeraj. So we look at the kind of performance which Nifty IT has given along with its constituents. We'll start with the index performance. Well, index is up about 23%. Well, before the 2.5% fall last week, this was up at around 27%. So, but moving on to constituents, we'll have most of the mid-cap names that have done really well. Persistent 74% up in calendar year 24 till date. So that is something which is really good coming in from the mid-cap names. Coforge, Tech Mahindra doing well. Tech Mahindra going through a management change over here just for the update. HCL Technology is also doing well, but if you can move on, we'll have TCS Emphasis, which is given like high single-digit return, but LTTS performed a little bit lower than the others at around negative 7% is what we even LTI Mindtree over here. Not really great kind of returns as we can look at them. But moving on to 3 key highlights of calendar year 24. Number 1 is of course the recent Accenture results which have came in. Discretionary demand is yet to pick up is what the management is saying. So still this is kind of an ambiguity over here even within the top Indian IT companies. Moving on, BFSI banking space from which most of the IT companies get majority of its revenue is gaining traction. This is what we heard from most of the management since last 2 earnings quarters. But most IT companies are also saying that they are cautiously optimistic. Means that clients might accommodate, but they'll still wait for them to decide on the budget in January and February. Remember, this is also what Accenture mentioned last week. But moving on to talking about the kind of what do we look forward to in calendar year 25 now. We'll see whether this cautiously optimistic stance would convert into recovery in demand or not. Possibly well because of the Trump presidency, the thing which we are looking at in Trump presidency, like lower rate cuts, lower tax rate cuts would help the company. Lower visa cost would also aid in margin. But one disappointment over here is the hawkish stance. Fewer rate cuts is what we had heard last week. This can be a little bit of disappointment for the Indian IT companies. And also a lot of noise around generative AI deals as we can see over here. But this thing to watch out for, deals are coming in, but whether these generative AI deals are actually getting converted into revenue or not is to be watched out for. And of course, this is what I mentioned, Trump presidency, will this improve the IT spending or not is to be watched out for. But let's move on to lastly talking about the average upside according to Bloomberg analyst. Persistent downside of 15%. Now this is because the target price of most of the brokerage houses is already hit because of the 70% run which we saw earlier. So most of the target prices over here are already hit. But if we roll forward to the slide, the big names like Infosys, TCS have an upside of around 4 to 5% over here. But LTI Mindtree, LTTS also not much of an upside as we can see. But yes, TCS starts off with the IT earnings on the 9th, and we'll see whether how the commentary plays out over there.
Yep. So IT, I think, is the big story for the next couple of months, surely to look at. And Siddharth, Khemka, let me come to you on that. And great setup there from Rucha also for this leg of this conversation where we're recapping how 2024 was. But 2024, most of it, one would say, was spent in anticipation of demand improving, etc. Do you think that picture becomes clearer now?
Yeah, I think definitely what the management commentary suggests, and then the Accenture numbers, they have upgraded their guidance at the higher end. So it definitely shows an improvement if you look at the quarterly numbers as well. So the start of the year, you could have said that, yes, there is an anticipation, or by the mid of the year, that was again, there were a lot of headwinds which were not very clear. But as we end the year, I think the anticipations are turning into reality. There has been a 100 basis points rate cut in the US. There are talks of the corporate tax cut. And there are management talks about clients increasing their the project delivery as well as the execution that is leading to higher billings. And so that makes us very positive. I think next year we'll see the budgets setting up in the first few months, and that should lay down even more concretely how the IT sector growth will pan out in 2025. So definitely a positive view going into 2025 for the IT sector.
Okay, and Himen, if I can come to you with regard to the IT pack, there are certain pockets where the underperformance in this year has been more pronounced. Now, on charts, how does it look, and what are the stocks, maybe 2 or 3, which you feel really stand out for you on charts?
The IT index is tired, overbought. A short-term top has been made. I believe things are looking that hunky-dory, keeping in mind the run-up. One stock which I like is the HCL Tech. It's a short for me. I'm given this call at the beginning of the show. So HCL Tech is a very clear short for me. Anything else? I mean, you see Persistent and Coforge leading the market, while even Infosys is looking heavy. So I would be not very happy with the current scenario. But having said that, we've had a beautiful move over the last 6 months or so. So it's about time they walk into a correction of a greater degree. The bigger picture, though, remains up. But in the medium term, okay, currently Intellect is looking good. TCS, HCL Tech are looking heavy. And even Infosys is not looking too good. So it's spread all over the place. Overall, the short-term picture has been spoiled for the Nifty IT. The weekly picture is just about hanging on.
Okay, so those are views coming in with regard to IT. Let's